Welcome back, students. This is your dean, CountXevious. I'm here after a long break because one, I was on vacation, and two, while I was on vacation, I got COVID and I was sick. I finally recovered and can make some content for you. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most important cups for every Silph battler because one, this is going to be a regionals meta. You get to compete with the best in the business and possibly be crowned the regional champion and then the continental champion and then the world champion. Another reason why this is very important, it's because you get to wait two tournaments. One will be a regional and the other one will be your normal weighted tournament. What is the Venture Cup? So Venture Cup is a very open meta, at least according to me. I think banning the dark types, fairies and steel was a very good set of bans. Also, mythical Pokemon are banned in this. The only restriction that this cup is going to give you is that you have only $20. Let's say I'm going to call it dollars. You have only $20 and each Pokemon has a dollar cost value assigned to it. Some Pokemon are given 10, some $10, some Pokemon you need to buy for 6, some Pokemon for 4 and the rest for $1 each. The goal is to make sure you do not break the $20 let's say bank that you have. Yeah, basically that's about it. So as usual, I'm going to put the Pokemon in boxes, and as usual, the ones on the left beat the ones on the right. Maybe there are exceptions, but I usually tend to point them out. So looking at the different types that we have right about now, is first up is going to be our ghost types. I put Shadow Dusclops all the way to the top because this is one bulky monster. It beats all the other ghost types, and with Jellicent, it's going to be a CMP dependent matchup. So maybe if you use Dusclops as a safe swap, you still end up beating the Jellicent. Or if you have a very high attack Dusclops, you could possibly flip this matchup. Remember, this is an XL Dusclops, so you need to go out there and grind those Shadow Stops. Next up is the Lick Boys. Yes, I know all of you expect the XL Lickitung to be all the way up in the front. It's not, because Snorlax exists. Snorlax has access to superpower, and this is going to be super effective against the normal type, and Licks do almost no damage to the Snorlax. So that's why Snorlax is all the way up in the front, followed by Lickitung XL. That's why it's out of the box, because it's way too thick. And then you have the Munchlax and Lickilicky. Next typing is the Psychic type. Psychic type Hypno is all the way in the front because of its access to Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball do super effective damage to the other Psychic type Pokemon, and hence Hypno is up in the front. Followed by Mew and then Cresselia. I've also added an extra box, which is Psychic counter users basically. They are going to lose to their Psychic types, but they do have an added benefit of being able to play against the Lick Boys. Last but not the least, you have the counter users. Yes, Primeape has a big case to be here, and I think Primeape with Night Slash Ice Punch is going to do a lot of damage in this meta, but unfortunately I didn't think that it was one of the top 3 in its class. So you have Toxicroak, which beats Shadow Machamp, which beats Vigoroth. I put Vigoroth ahead of Primeape because Vigoroth has a much broader play in the meta than compared to Primeape, and does not get absolutely walled by Hypno or any of the Psychic users. Hello GBL players, I know we all hate the algorithm, so please help us beat it by pressing the like button, leaving a comment and subscribing to our channel. Thanks. As usual, we're going to first work towards constructing our rectangle of life. Let's start with the Psychic types. Psychic types include Hypno, Mew and Cresselia. Who do these lose to? They lose to the Ghost type Pokemon. So Ghost beats the Psychic types, and unfortunately for these two typings, we have the normal type Pokemon that are the Lick Boys that beat both of them. And to check these Lick Boys, you have in essence the counter user. So basically your Defense Deoxys, Medicham, Toxie, Shadow Machamp and Vigoroth. There are some exceptions to this. For example, Lickilicky does have play against the Psychic counter users because it has access to Shadow Ball. If you can bait the Defense Deoxys with a Body Slam, you can nuke it with a Shadow Ball to pick up that win in the one shield scenario. You also have Pokemon like Shadow Machamp. It is an exception because it has access to Rock Slide, which is going to do super effective damage to Froslass and a Alolan Marowak. Another exception to this is, let's say it's a negative exception because it's being part poison types. Gengar and Haunter lose to psychic type confusion use, especially something like a Hypno, because Hypno can confusion down, and I mean Shield wants confusion down and come out with a ton of energy to punish whatever is at the back. We now have the rectangle of life, so we need to look at Pokemon that can beat, let's say, everything in the rectangle, or have a pretty decent matchup against everything in the rectangle. And according to me, these are going to be your flyers, and the newly added move Feather Dance on Pidgeot comes in very clutch here, helping it take out Altaria in the one-shield scenarios, which is pretty impressive. So you have Mantine. Mantine has access to Ice Beam, which makes it super effective against all the other flyers, so Mantine is up in the front. These Pokemon, like Mantine, Pidgeot, Altaria, they don't necessarily have to win against what's in the box. They do well against what's in the box. This is very important because I think in an open meta like this, you're more often than not going to be in situations where you need to think on the spot and you're not going to have a lot of RPS going in. So I think it's important to have Pokemon that do neutral damage, or that win barely or lose barely, so that you don't get overfarmed, so you don't let's say straight up lose because you switched. So you have Pokemon like Altaria, Mantine and Pidgeot that do well against, let's say, the condensed meta. So you need to have Pokemon, or look at Pokemon that can counter these Pokemon, and that's going to be, let's say, for me personally, that's the main function of Quagsire, is having access to Stone Edge. It can beat these flyers, and added benefit, it can do well against the counter users and also the ghost types. Same goes for Whiscash. Whiscash can also hang with, let's say, the psychic types, because Hypno needs to land a Shadow Ball. Cresselia, of course, beats it because it has access to Grass Knot, but Mew really will be a close matchup against Whiscash. Another added benefit of running the Mud Boys is that it has a similar function of the flyers, but with the added benefit of it beating the flyers, because Mud Boys do function well against, let's say, everything in the rectangle. I mean, it might not win the matchup, but it will put it really, really close. Once you have two set of Pokemon that can do well against, let's say, the condensed meta, you need to look at Pokemon that are going to beat these two set of Pokemon. These are going to be your anti-flyers and your grass types and your ice types. Like, for example, you have a Pokemon like a Registeel. This is going to Regirock, sorry. This is going to do very, very well against the flyers, and unfortunately it gets walled by the Mud Boys. I think the best anti-flyer in this meta, or if you're going to run an anti-flyer, I think it should go to Abomasnow, and Abomasnow is going to do so well because it has grass coverage. It also has Weather Ball, which I don't think a lot of the Pokemon many of the Pokemon in the meta do not resist. So you're going to do a lot of spam damage to everything in this meta. There are, like always, obvious exceptions to what's in the box and what's going to be beaten by the arrows. So I'm gonna try to highlight some of them. Against the flyers, you have exceptions which include Jellicent, Froslass, because they're going to do, if you're running Ice Beam on a Jellicent, and if you're, you will be able to do well against the flyers, and if you're, and Froslass is an Ice type Pokemon, so by default it's going to do well against the flyers. Another exception against the flyers is going to be Hypno. For example, if you're running a double punch Hypno, you could do well against the flyers. For example, something like a Thunder Punch, Ice Punch is going to do well against Altaria and also against the flyers. Yes, there is an exception in the fighters, and that's Machamp. Machamp can beat Altaria if you bait, or if you have a high stat product Shadow Machamp, you can go straight Rock Slide for this win. With every meta Simplified that I release, I do add always a bunch of save swaps, which I think will do well against the condensed meta. And for this meta, we have, I think, 5 save swaps. I think they are going to do really well if you employ them in the right scenarios. You first have Regirock. Regirock is a great save swap because I think one of the most strongest Pokemon in the meta is Defense Deoxys, and it beats Defense Deoxys in the Zero Shield straight Stone Edge, which is quite impressive. You then also have Pachirisu. Pachirisu has access to Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, which do a lot of damage and charge really, really fast. So you can either Wind Switch or force a shield advantage using this Pokemon. You also then have the Ultimate Nightmare, the Ultimate RNG Toincos, Kingdra. Kingdra, if you get the debuff, will flip so many matchups that at some point you want to throw your phone and break it. The other two are a little bit more straightforward. You have Zangoose, because Zangoose has a lot of damage that it can output and has a lot of coverage with Night Slash and Close Combat. Last but not the least, I should be advertising this Pokemon a lot more, but Shadow Dusclops does well against meta, like really well. It has access to Shadow Punch, which can do well against all the ghost types. It has access to one of the most important things in an open meta, Bulk. It also has, it depends on what you want to run. It has Ice Punch or Fire Punch. Based on what you want to cover, what weakness you want to cover in your team, you can run this and you suddenly have coverage against the extended meta. So I think as a safe swap, this is my favorite, and unfortunately I don't have the Excels to make one. Hopefully one of you guys do, and one of you guys show us a video with it. That would be amazing. Alright guys and girls, thanks a lot for watching. Hope you liked our content and hope to see you soon. Ciao!